know it's been a little while since I uploaded, but hear me out. I've been working, making some money. That's very important. If you have a project car, you know that is like the #1 thing. And also, I've been waiting on parts. So I ordered a couple of parts from the UK. They're the only ones that make this little simple thing apparently. Of course, that's how it always goes, I guess. And it's these. I ordered, they came in pairs. They were $14, or no, $7 a piece, so $14 total. And I ordered 2 pairs of them because I needed 2 of them. And let me show you what they are. So since I'm doing that bump steer kit, if you saw my last video, if you didn't see my last video, go up here and watch it. But I'm using these spherical rod ends as my outer tie rod ends. And what these do is they reduce the inner diameter to 12 millimeters, while at the same time, so you put them on both sides, they increase the travel of the joint. So I needed those because the stock diameter on the stock spindles for the tie rods is 12 millimeters. So I can run that without having to drill them out, risk cracking those spindles, weakening those arms that the tie rods bolt to pretty much, and also it gives me that full travel of this joint. So I was waiting on those to come. I also got these in today, which are the wheel seals for the wheel bearings, brake fluid, as well as a vacuum bleeder so I don't have to ask my girlfriend to pump my brakes for me. I've been so anxious for this. For these little parts to come in, because that's like been the one thing that's holding me back from actually putting the car back together and driving it again. You know, those seals are like a day out, so that was no big deal. But these things, one company makes them, and they're in the UK, and they just took 3 weeks to come in or whatever. But before I get totally started with everything, my buddy Austin, who has a really badass car, it is a notchback 240 SX with a 2JZ swap. It's wide body, it's got some hot boy wheels on it, it's slammed, 2JZ, I think I already said that, but his name is Austin. He just started a channel, link is in the description. Go check him out, go subscribe to his channel, comment on his video, tell him that I sent you there, and check him out because he's a really cool guy and I want to support him. So I've got this other rotor and wheel bearing all set and ready to go. I'm gonna start bolting everything else back together. The caliper needs to go on obviously, and then everything needs to be tightened up, or just ran through at least. I know I've tightened stuff as I've gone, but it's been a little while since I've played with the car, so I'm gonna tighten everything up one last time, and then I can put on the tie rod ends. So it is 11:30 p.m. right now, and I've just been hustling to get everything tight and ready to go. Everything is tightened down, everything seems nice and solid, nothing's loose. I have my rod ends attached there. Right now I have a bronze spacer and the nylon spacers. The nylon spacers are deforming when I tighten it down pretty hard. So that should be fine temporarily. However, I'm gonna replace these probably all with steel spacers. I just need to go buy something, but it'll be fine temporarily, like I said. It's really disappointing how these look like crap, because it sort of makes the whole thing look sort of crappy when, if you sort of block that out, it all looks nice and fresh. You know, it's all nice, freshly painted, undercoated, and nice shiny parts in here. But it's all together now. If you guys remember, I snapped this brake line in half when I was taking it apart, so there's no brake fluid in here. But I did buy some brake fluid, like I said, as well as this bleeder. So I guess it's time to bleed the brakes, because I can't drive this thing without brakes, because that would be reckless and stupid and pointless. So let's throw that fluid in there. I'll bleed the front brakes. They probably needed it anyways. The brake fluid is probably super old and nasty, so let's start getting that taken care of. Okay, brakes are bled, brakes feel amazing, and as you can see, the car is on the ground on its wheels, And I'll be honest, I got a little excited, and I may or may not have bumped the starter while it was up on jack stands, and it may or may not have been in gear. Luckily there was nothing under the car, and I was just bumping the starter to see if there was enough battery in it to turn the starter over. I don't know why it was in gear. I never parked this thing in gear, and I guess I'm just an idiot and left it in gear. Yeah, oops, it just scooted forward and then basically slowly laid off the jack stands. It was the most, pretty much the most anticlimactic way it could have fell off a pair of jack stands. Luckily I just put the wheels back on too. Surprisingly low amount of noise for such a thing to happen, but yeah, it is all back together now. Everything's tight. I'm an idiot. I can't believe I did that. I'm such an idiot. But it's okay because everything turned out okay. It was a pretty soft landing too. Yeah, the car looks super menacing. I mean, it didn't really change the look of anything, but I just miss seeing this car on the ground. I've been walking by it every day up on jack stands, and seeing that meat underneath this car, especially we have another 914 at my work right now, which is in about 1,000 times better condition than this, but is also about 1,000 times more expensive than this. But that car has not the wide body, and it's running 195s, I think. And they're like old school 195, so they're pretty narrow. These tires look just absurd on this car whenever I see it all put back together. But it looks like my eyeballed alignment turned out okay. A little bit of toe in on this side, and just a hair of toe in on this side, which is sort of what I was looking for. Is just a tiny bit of toe in on either side. So I'm sitting here considering whether or not I'm going to go take it out and drive it. It is probably about 12:30 now. The car is really loud, but I think I could get away with it. Push it out a little ways, start it down the road. Do I do it or no? I'm gonna be a little girl about it. I'm gonna not get evicted from my apartment. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna wake up super early tomorrow morning, which is Thanksgiving. Take this thing for a test drive. It is fully ready. Wheels are tight and everything. All I gotta do is crank it, back it out. So, see you in the morning as soon as I get up, and we'll take this thing for a drive. All right, so it is the next morning already, for you guys at least. I'm just cleaning up around it, which it's a mess in here, but I had a bunch of crap behind the car, so I'm moving it around. I just made sure the radiator was full because I popped the cap. It looked a little low. It was like, I don't know, a ½ inch low, though I was wrong. So I'm gonna move this stuff, and then I gotta move my girlfriend's car, and then I can back this thing out and we can go for a rip. Everything should be tight, so we should be good to go. Look at that poke, dude, oh my god. Look how she looks without the fenders on it. Looks so ridiculous. Okay, first impressions, bump steer is virtually gone. Before, when I would hit bumps, it was all over the place. like completely all over the place. Now it's completely compliant while hitting bumps under cornering. The steering is much more direct. It is like on point. It is so direct. I mean those turbo tie rods coupled with Heim joints as my outer tie rods. I mean it is like, oh my god, it is good. It's way more direct than even my WRX, which is 30 years newer. 30 exactly, actually. Wow. Alignment's a little off, but I got pretty close. Steering wheel isn't perfectly straight, but it does drive pretty straight. Car still feels good running wise. I hit rev limiter there. I don't know if that was 4 grand or 6. I might be in limp mode because I don't have a vehicle speed sensor still. Straight here, there's a really bumpy, curvy section. Let me adjust the camera. So, something interesting, the steering has gotten lighter. I'm not quite sure why, but the steering is quite a bit lighter. I guess because they don't have to work at that crazy angle anymore, the tie rods, now they're actually where they're supposed to be. I don't know, but it's all working really well. This is a big old open parking lot. Today's Thanksgiving, so this is what I'm thankful for, that my car is driving again. I think I'm gonna set the camera up and see what this car will do. Let's get out of here before I get the cops called on me. So, in terms of driving characteristics, at least in first gear, I wasn't really getting out of first gear because I'm in a parking lot. It's pretty neutral. So, it does a little bit of understeering, it does a little bit of oversteering, sort of depending on throttle, steering angle. Obviously my rear suspension is not done yet. That's still completely undone, but I think for this car it's not as important as the front, because obviously the front deals with all the steering and stuff, and with the car being lowered how it was, being lowered without any suspension modifications is a problem, because you get these gnarly bump steer issues. But man, this thing is like grippy as hell. As you saw, I did like a couple of clutch kicks, or I did a clutch kick and got the rear end pretty sideways, and it just like yanked me back into the grip. It did not want to slide at all. But I did get it to break the tires loose, so it is possible. One time I tried to do a burnout in this thing and it just slipped the clutch instead of the tires, dumping it from like 4 grand. So I think the tires are a little bit sticky and the clutch is not anything exciting. It is a brand new clutch and flywheel, but it's for a Subaru like EJ22 that makes 140 horsepower. So yeah, I'm just gonna drive it around for a bit more. I'm having a really good time. And I guess I'll see you when I'm back at the garage. It's pretty good. Now, I had the flares off because I wasn't sure what the ride height is set at right now. I didn't set it last night, and I didn't want to be rubbing around. I wanted to be able to drive the crap out of it without worrying about that, so I just left them off. But drove pretty good. Been filming a bunch. Temp is staying good. Operating temp is between T and E. Staying nice and cool. When I was driving it on the highway last time, I was like, and now it's just like goes pretty straight. Steering is so light. I've gotten it filled up twice now since it's been running good. So however many miles that is.
Your hair's looking really convertible friendly.
Is it all crazy?
The piece is just sticking straight out.
No one ever gives me thumbs ups. Oh, okay. That's alright. We'll just put that back in there.
Why
okay.
Is that, how's that happen?
Look how worn out the key is.
Put that back in, that's stressing me out.
Yeah, it's getting really hot. Spiking. I don't know why. Why does this happen to me? There must have been air bubbles in my radiator, or in my system, and up in the engine. And it just boiled over. So it wasn't actually getting that hot. I was scared I was gonna cook my engine. Blow a head gasket, be stuck out here, have to go buy another engine. No one stopped to see if I needed help.
Yeah, I don't think they can handle this bad boy. Why are you wearing work pants?
Well, they look good until I got them all dirty.
Yeah, they're disgusting. They look like slop.
It looks like I'm driving a race car.
Back on the road.
There we go. That's what I like.
Good.
Just shot down. So it's not overheating anymore, but now we've got a pretty significant fuel smell, so I'm gonna see what's up with that before we catch on fire or something. Oh, I know what it was. This car used to have an evap system, and it doesn't anymore. And one of the evap lines, when I took a hard left turn, poured a bunch of fuel out of it. So I need to plug that up at some point. Oh, e-brake. Jeez, I'm a mess. That person just went the wrong way around the roundabout.
Spencer, the wine! That was not good filming, I just did that. You made it.
Yay! Only a couple of hiccups.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I am thankful for making it to Thanksgiving dinner. So we made it here, but I gave a bunch of people rides in it, and I might have slammed the oil pan on the ground a few times, and it may or may not be pissing oil out of the oil pan, which is just lovely. So it looks like she's staying here tonight, and we're gonna have to get a ride back with someone. I'm not thankful for that.
What the heck are you doing?
So Dad has come to the rescue. We are towing this thing back to my dad's house, and I'm gonna try to fix it. What? No! We're gonna try to fix it and hopefully drive it home tonight. And we're off. Hopefully it's just anticlimactic. I only live a couple miles down the road, so, or not, I mean like a mile and a half, so should be all good. I guess I'll bring it back if it isn't. Alright, so it's a couple days later. As you can see, the Porsche is here. I did get it back that night. My camera ended up dying, and by the time I got home, I was so exhausted because it was so late and dealing with all that. I just fell right asleep, and then I had to work the next day, and you know, whatever. But it's back. And it made it back relatively uneventfully. I mean, yeah, it was all okay. So what we ended up doing is towing it to my dad's house. I drained the oil out of it. I cleaned up the bottom of the oil pan with some carb cleaner and paper towels and stuff. And then we had some RTV silicone, and I just smeared it all over the bottom of the pan. I'll show you guys that in a second. Let it set for about an hour and filled it back up. It wasn't dripping anymore. It wasn't an actual hole in the pan. It was basically rubbed through to where at one point it was almost like cracked. You'll see. But it sealed, and it has sat here for 2 days now and has only leaked a little bit. So I made it here with plenty of oil in the engine. Thank God. Didn't cause any problems. So in the next video, I'll probably be replacing the pan. I'm not exactly sure what my plan is because I don't want to just put another stock pan on it because that pan was perfectly good like 2 days ago. So I need to figure out what I want to do. I think for now, I'm going to take a stock pan and weld a big piece of plate steel on the bottom so it'll hit the ground and sort of work as a skid plate. I don't want to do that permanently, so that will just be a temporary solution, but at least I'll be able to drive the car and scrape it without worrying about denting it and crushing it up against the oil pickup, as well as scraping another hole in it. Well, let's get this thing up into the air. I want to show you guys the bottom of the pan and sort of see what sort of damage we did. It's sort of nice how tall I can get this thing off the ground. It's like actually a good amount of room underneath it to do all sorts of activities. The oil pan is like the lowest hanging thing on this car because Subaru oil pans are super low hanging. You can tell it's all scraped up on the front side there. It's like there's no paint left on it. And the crack actually developed over here next to the drain plug. And you can see some of it's torn off. And I think that tore off in my parking lot. Actually, we have some speed bumps that I scrape on no matter what. And, but yeah, there's like all sorts of silicone on this thing. That's what was keeping it from leaking. So I'm gonna leave it on there until I get the new one sorted so that I'm not leaking on the floor, but only a little bit has leaked over the past 2 days, just this small little spot. So I'm gonna get all the oil drained out of it next video and we'll get this all taken care of. But thankfully that got me home. But yeah, that's pretty much all the damages, just that guy. Yeah, that is gonna be it for me today. Just gonna end this video off. I wish somehow I could like show you guys how well this thing actually drives. I just found my GoPro suction mount, so I can use that instead of having my camera ghetto rigged on the tripod in the car, so I can get some better shots of it actually driving. But I want to show you guys how good it actually drives, because like the clip where I was in the parking lot and I just had the camera on the tripod, it doesn't really show speed very well because I'm in first gear in a parking lot. But yeah, remember I still do need to make my sway bar end links, so that is coming, as well as a cooling system upgrade is coming for this car, as well as a bunch of other stuff soon, so stay tuned for all that. So yeah, let me know what you think of this video down in the comments. Let me know how dumb you think I am for driving it so hard that I rubbed a hole in the oil pan. Basically it happened when I was driving the living piss out of it with passengers in the car, so it was scraping really bad. But I mean, I want to break the car so that I can fix all the things that break so it doesn't break anymore. So that's part of it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.